After falling down by 20 in the first quarter, I'm sure you were pleased with your group's ability to get back into the game and even tie it. Today, why do you sense like you weren't able to get over the hump?
Yeah, I don't. You're right. We're fighting a lot of things that just kind of felt like an uphill battle throughout. Their main guys, hurt us. We got to be better there with Young and Capella, and I think Bogdanovich had a big game. Four of their starters were 20 plus, and that was the biggest uphill challenge to keep fighting, was once they start off well to cool them off. You did that. Your opponent sees that first shot go in, and the next one becomes a little bit more free and easier. So I just think we need to do a better job on their main guys.
Wheat. Yeah, Nate, your team had been getting off to such good starts recently. What was different about tonight?
It was different. Like I said, that they were I thought the game at the very start was okay, the first few minutes there, and then it got separated there for about probably, I don't remember the times, that 8-minute mark till the rest of the quarter there. But again, their main guys had some free looks early. It was free and easy there. We missed some shots that we normally make to start games. I think our ball movement to start games is always very good. Just didn't get those shots that usually drop in for us early in the game.
J. Michael.
Nate, looks like one of the things you guys had an issue with early was they were getting down in transition and you guys weren't getting back.
Yep.
And there are some cases, I mean, I don't want to single out one guy, but Domas was arguing with officials at certain times, getting beat by Capella up the court, or guys were just getting beat, period, all over. Does it seem like that kind of snowballs and things are not going your way and guys just weren't getting back, and that kind of led to Atlanta just getting hot from everywhere?
Well, that was the reason of my first timeout. We were in the half court, we were guarding there, but then we just gave up about 3 or 4 free ones, there. It seemed like in a row for a number of different reasons. And transition defense is on everybody. It's all 5 guys in transition. You don't necessarily have a man. It's your job to just sprint back and declare the ball and protect the rim. But that was a reason for my first time out there, and probably the second. We did shore that up there for a while there during the game. In the guts of the game, our transition defense was better. But yes, that's what led to their early lead, was what you mentioned on transition. We all just have to be better at sprinting back and talking. There was our communication in transition needed to be better. That's what the timeout was
about. Pat?
Nate, when you've got a team like Atlanta that wants to throw the lob as much as they do, how do you go about defending that? And would you have liked to defend it any differently than you did today?
Well, yeah, it's when you have a ball player, coming off those screens, that's getting fouls called and attacking and scoring, and you got a lob threat in Capella, you have to be really good at your pickup points in the initial part of that screen. Okay, that's the first part. The second part is your weak side has to be in position, to help protect the guard turning the corner, or the big, really diving and getting that lob at the rim. So there's a lot of components involved in that. The weak side off the ball is very big, making sure you're getting to your gaps and clogging up and getting hits on those free rollers.
Scott?
Nate Karas's minutes were kind of limited in the second half. Was that you rolling with Edmond, rolling with TJ? And if so, what'd you like out of those two? Was it how much they were pushing the ball and moving it?
Yeah. I thought TJ and Ed, they were in a group there that was rolling and playing and pushing it and being active on defense. So it was just one of those things. Karas will play a ton tomorrow. So excellent player. It just happens sometimes. Sometimes I'll ride a group of 5 out there longer than others.
Pat?
Yeah, quick thought on tomorrow. Back-to-backs are always challenging, especially when you come off of a longer road trip like this one. Can you use what went well in San Antonio earlier in the month and try to apply it in this one? What do you see as a key to that game?
Yeah, yeah, there was a lot of different things that went on in that San Antonio game. If you go back and remember, we played a few different defenses there. You know, very good team. I thought the way that we shared at that game, you know, that was one of those games where, you know, Jakar and Keelan and Aaron Holiday, if you remember, they all had big minutes in that game and hit big shots due to the fact of how good the ball was moving for 48 minutes. So, you know, a good team coming to Indianapolis tomorrow. We got to be ready to go.
Anything else for Coach?
Yeah, let me slip in and ask one more thing about defense, Coach. Your defense looks like when you guys were able to close the gap, you guys did a really good job. You talked about identifying and finding three-point shooters. Like you had multiple efforts stopping those guys, you know, whether it's Bogdanovich or Werder during that one stretch. I think it was in the third quarter. But then they were able to get free and hit those threes late in the fourth. Seems to be that that you weren't able to carry that over, or was it something that they were doing differently that allowed them to then get those looks?
No, you're right. I think during that stretch there in the middle, our level of contesting shots was big time. Meaning we were getting in and out of our gaps with speed. Our readiness, we were flying at shooters and had some double contests there, and we didn't do it as well, you know, later in the fourth. So that's it. That's where we have to be more consistent. Is our level of contest has to be at an elite high level constantly, because you got to try to make these guys miss. They ain't just going to miss on their own. And we just needed more of that throughout the course of the game.
Thank you, Coach.
Okay, thanks everybody.
You and Edmund were part of that second unit that helped spark the run and chip away at that lead. And eventually you guys even tied the game. Why do you sense you weren't able today, though, to get over the hump?
At the end of the day, we just couldn't get enough stops. It's really what it comes down to. We just couldn't really get that one stop to put us over the hump. And, they got loose for a couple threes and made us pay.
Scott Agnes.
TJ, defense has obviously been the problem over the last week. You guys are giving up, I think, 125 points per game. Is there any constant? What needs to change here to turn the tide?
I think it's pretty simple. Just bunker down and get some stops. We got to talk a little bit more and be more engaged and, give extra effort when, there's a breakdown. And that's what it comes down to, giving a little bit more effort on defense and just going out there and playing hard.
Anybody else got anything?
Yeah, David, I'll hop in. Hey, TJ, you weren't on the floor when the game started, of course, but it looks like when you guys got in that hole, you guys weren't getting back in transition. And it seems like just little things like that. And you guys did a better job of that, and you were able to get back in the game. You were able to do a better job contesting threes, and you got back in the game, and then you stopped contesting threes as well. How does that kind of fluctuation happen? Because you would think after you see some success with it that it would be easy to sustain. Why is that hard to sustain for 4 quarters?
Playing at this level is really hard, and teams aren't just going to kind of let you contest and let you close out. They make you pay for the little mistakes that you make, and when you're not connected on defense and not giving effort, it's easy to make those small mistakes. And I'm not saying we do that. That happens throughout a game. But we just got to talk a little bit better and give a little bit more effort and take away those minor mistakes and get ourselves kind of caught up and playing from behind and scrambling a bit. So we just got to be more connected on that end, and we will be.
Pat?
You'll have a back-to-back and face San Antonio and Indianapolis tomorrow night. Can you use the blueprint of what went well against the Spurs back earlier in the month when you take them on tomorrow?
I don't think, we're too big on, the moral victories of what we did well last time we played San Antonio. It's going to be a completely different game. No game is similar than the last. And, we just got to come out, be connected defensively, get stops and get out and do what we do best. And that's run and share the ball.
Anything else from anyone? Thank you, TJ. Appreciate it.
No problem.
All right, go ahead, Pat.
Malcolm, when you guys got down by 20, what did it take to get yourselves back in the game? And then ultimately, why do you sense that you weren't able to get over the hump?
Didn't get the stops down the stretch. Trey made some plays at the end of the game for himself and his teammates, and we just weren't able to get really the pick and roll under control. And then, when you don't get stops, you usually don't score the ball. So that's what happened.
Wheat.
And Malcolm, going back to the start of the game, you guys had been getting off to such great starts lately. What was different about today's game?
I don't know. Of course, Miles is back in the lineup, but that wasn't the problem. We just didn't have the chemistry working on the defensive end and the offensive end.
Anybody got anything else?
Yeah, I'll hop in, Dave.
All right.
Speaking of your chemistry, is part, I saw early in the game when you guys went down by 20, you see a guy calling out, this player, I got this guy, and, and somebody says, take that guy. And then, they end up getting a layup because you guys seem to be confused. Or is it confusion over who you have? Or is it, when you say communication, is it not listening? Is it confusion?
No, we just got to be more locked in. We got to be more locked in on the defensive end, getting back in transition. That hurt us early, so we got to be locked in from the first couple minutes of the game.
Scott?
Malcolm, you guys talking still defense. You guys have given up 125 points over the last week. That's been the one constant. What do you need to change there to correct that?
We got to start and finish games the right way. Usually we get into our rhythm throughout the second and third quarter, keep it close, but it's usually our starts and our finishes that really dig a hole for us.
Pat?
Malcolm, what do you view as the biggest key to tomorrow night? You're on a back-to-back. You'll have San Antonio here, who's kind of in a similar position as you guys are, fighting for their playoff positioning.
Energy. Energy. They're not coming off a back-to-back. We are. So, we're going to be fighting our own energy, fighting our own readiness for the game. We just got to be ready to play.
Anything else? All right. Thanks, Malcolm.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Do me a favor, remind Joe I'm still